Today on Notsam Wrestling, John Cena wrestles his final PLE match. Who was the masked man at the end of the men's War Games match? Is it too early to speculate about Wrestlemania? And what did we think of Survivor Series? This is Notsam Wrestling. Welcome to Notsam Wrestling. Survivor Series was over the weekend. War Games, we of course did an emergency podcast breaking down the entire men's War Games match. And I will tell you, just in case you're confused as to what today's podcast might be, I enjoyed myself watching Survivor Series. I know that's a very controversial take to make in today's day and age, to go on the internet and say, and I'll say it quietly, I enjoyed watching Survivor Series. That's right. That's right. And then a couple weeks before, I enjoyed watching Full Gear. I enjoyed doing that. I enjoyed watching WrestlePalooza. I like wrestling. That's why I make wrestling content. That's why for the last 580 weeks, I've done this wrestling podcast. That's why I expanded the wrestling podcast to a daily show on SiriusXM. I like wrestling. I enjoy myself while watching wrestling. And right around WrestleMania 40, it was very in vogue to make content based on the fact that you like professional wrestling. I feel like now it's a little more in vogue to make content based on not liking professional wrestling, even though all you're talking about is professional wrestling. But I think we're just going to still stay true to what we do here at Notsam Wrestling. And I'll tell you my thoughts on Survivor Series, on War Games, on everything that went down. And I kind of want to start because I gave you my initial thoughts on the men's War Games match on the emergency podcast that we cut right after Survivor Series. After Megan and I did the Survivor Series recap podcast, I came home and gave my thoughts on that men's War Games match. And we'll get back into it now that we've had a couple of days to really process everything that happened and where it may be going. But before we get there, we did not talk about on the emergency podcast what for me was my favorite match on the show, my favorite sequence of events on the show, and that was Dominik Mysterio versus John Cena and John Cena's final PLE match. I got a text from a friend just as Survivor Series was starting that said, I think I just realized John Cena's retiring. I think as we get closer and closer, that reality is sinking in more and more and more. You know, I think it started to sink in for some people on that last Monday Night Raw in Madison Square Garden, but there was something about the fact that he still had the Intercontinental title, right? It was his last Raw, but knowing he still had multiple appearances, knowing he had a big Survivor Series match, knowing he was still a champion in the WWE, it didn't feel like we were wrapping things up, whereas Survivor Series felt like things were getting wrapped up. Now, it felt like things were getting pushed forward for his opponent, Dominik Mysterio, but I felt two ways about it. First of all, I loved the match. And I think that something that has been key in this John Cena retirement tour is it is a display of everything that is professional wrestling, of what professional wrestling looks like, and the fact that professional wrestling doesn't look like just one thing. That you can have a match like John Cena and AJ Styles, and it's an incredible match. At the same time, you can have a match like John Cena versus Cody Rhodes at SummerSlam, and it's an incredible match. And at the same time, you can have a match like John Cena versus Dominik Mysterio, right? John Cena versus Cody Rhodes, it was incredible storytelling and like epic movie storytelling that took place over a series of finishes, going all over the arena, turning this thing into a street fight. And it gave you that feeling that you had all experienced this thing together. And John Cena versus AJ Styles was just an absolute celebration of professional wrestling where it almost didn't matter who won or who lost. It was just everything about that match and within the match was designed so that we could all collectively celebrate professional wrestling and the careers of both John Cena and AJ Styles. And then Dominik Mysterio versus John Cena was all about a good guy versus a bad guy and the lengths to which you can go to tell a great story in professional wrestling and how important those moments are. Because regardless of if you got the moves, right, the sequence of moves that it takes to get a stereotypical 5-star match, you got this forever moment with Liv Morgan and Dominik Mysterio that only hit as hard as it hit because of everything that built up to it. And I believe is one of those moments that's probably the moment, honestly, that a lot of people left Petco Park thinking about and waking up the next day thinking about. So John Cena comes out in San Diego to a tremendous ovation. They love it. The moment is not lost on anybody. Everybody in that stadium that I don't believe has ever housed a WWE PLE before realizes how special this is. This is John Cena's last PLE match ever and the second to last match that he will ever wrestle. Dom got booed when he came out, but it was almost like a cooperative booing from the audience where they were like, well, we know what the job is. We know what we're here to do. Tonight, we cheer the good guy and we boo the bad guy. And that isn't something that has, I mean, when we started this podcast, that was one of the first, before there was the 3 rules, before there was watch the product, speculate wildly, and everything counts. The call to arms was boo the bad guy because nobody was booing bad guys because people just were not in line with the stories that were being told. And anybody that tells you, you know, this is as bad as WWE, go back to like 10 years ago and tell me when you have to beg people to boo the bad guys and cheer the good guys, tell me. So Dominik gets booed, but he comes to the ring with Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez. Now, midway through the match, they're having a match. It's Dominik, it's John Cena. John Cena's controlling a lot of it, but they go to the outside of the ring, and Dominik goes for a Hurricane Rana off the barricade. And it's a very similar Hurricane Rana off the barricade that Penta hit in his match with Solo in the John Cena tournament, in which Penta was legit injured and the match had to be called. And when Dominik hits this move, he lands in a similar way to Penta, but looks worse because it looks as though John Cena isn't taking the move. John Cena kind of bends down and almost dumps Dominik like it's a power bomb instead of flipping through to pull off the Hurricane Rana. And it really looks like Dom lands flat on his shoulder, hard. And, you know, medical comes over and John Cena gets in the ring and they're kind of, it feels like they're stalling. John Cena has this look on his face like, you know, you got to be kidding me. It's my retirement run and I'm injuring young guys here. This isn't what I intended at all. And in the beginning, I want to say everybody bought it. As time went on and you saw that they were focusing, the cameras were focused on Dominik, you were like, there's something maybe afoot here. But it was pulled off perfectly. And I think that even doing the move itself, the Hurricane Rana off the barricade, was such a genius thing to do because the audience had just been familiarized with the fact that this is a very dangerous move, with the fact that this is how people get injured. So so the story was told. It doesn't matter. You could have been sitting in the last row amongst 45,000 people in Petco Park. You could have been watching on TV and doing 3 things at once. You're clear on what happened here and that Dominik is injured. But while John Cena is in the ring, Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez get in there. And at first I'm going, well, maybe they're stalling for time right now. Maybe they're trying to figure out, you know, just get in there and do something with John while we see if Dominik can finish the match or not. But then, boom, I realize something is afoot when John Cena takes a Tejana bomb from Raquel Rodriguez and then pop rocks from Roxanne Perez. He took both of the women's finishers and gets laid out. He ends up on the second row. Dominik Mysterio, it is a miracle. Good Lord, it's a miracle. Dominik Mysterio recovers after getting to see John Cena take both those finishers. Dominik hits that 619, frog splash, but the referee refuses to count, which was ridiculous. This referee refuses to count because Dominik lied to him, and he knows something must have happened, right? Because you could say, well, he didn't see the interference happen. And he didn't. He did see that John Cena was laid out when they got back in the ring, and he had just been with Dominik the whole time. So clearly John Cena didn't collapse onto the second rope. Clearly something had happened to John Cena, but still, referee refuses to count. Dominik Mysterio starts panicking. It gives John Cena enough time to get back to his feet. Now Dominik is going for the boot. He's doing the old WrestleMania 20 Eddie Guerrero boot trick that he's done before, where he's loosening his boot, but John Cena sees it coming, AA. Now I'm already going, okay, something spectacular has to be coming. Because to me, the two women, Dominik faking the injury that we all thought was legit, and then the two women hitting John Cena with their finishers, I was like, that's a tremendous finish. So if that's not going to be the finish and the referee's just not going to count it, it's not even really a false finish. The actual finish is going to have to be that plus more. Otherwise, it's going to fall flat. And so now I'm getting excited with every move. And I go, no, I don't think that boot trick is enough to put John Cena away. And it's not. But John Cena then hits an AA. I go, is John Cena going to win this match? 1, 2. Dominik Mysterio kicks out of the AA. Now, I was not one of these people that was like, yeah, John Cena should take the Intercontinental Championship to his last match. I thought that was silly. I thought that John Cena should absolutely lose the Intercontinental Championship at Survivor Series. I think John Cena's last match should have 0 complications, 0, well, if, then, stips, nothing. The prize at the end of this tournament is John Cena's last match. And the main event of Saturday night's main event on the 13th of December is John Cena's last match, and that's it. But John Cena covers Dominik Mysterio after that AA. I go, am I wrong about that? Are we taking, no, kick out at 2. I go, okay. Then, John Cena's trying to figure out where he's at. Dom hits John. Referee goes down. As soon as the referee takes a big bump, falls to the outside. Referee goes down. Here comes Finn Balor and JD McDonough. They both run down that long aisleway to interfere in the match. They start getting the best of John Cena. But JD goes to the top. John Cena gets his knees up. Finn Balor goes for the coup de grace. He misses. John Cena is able to hoist both athletes up on his shoulders like I believe he did, I want to say, to Edge and the Big Show. Double AA takes both of them out. Dominik goes for the belt hit with the Intercontinental Championship, and boom! John Cena avoids that too, when all of a sudden, Liv Morgan's music hits. And I go, this is it. This is the spectacular finish that I was waiting for, right? Now, John Cena and Dominik Mysterio are both at their feet. The referee is down. Liv Morgan makes her way to the ring. She's got crazy in her eyes. She's got a plan. She's got a reason for being there. She's got Dominik Mysterio's mask decorating her sweatpants. But she gets in that ring, and she looks at Dominik Mysterio, and Dominik looks happy to see her. And she slaps Dominik in the face. And I go, oh, no. Oh, no. I was hook, line, and sinker with the whole thing. I loved it. And then she turns around and she jumps up on John Cena, of all people, and gives him a hug. And then the camera turns around. And as soon as the camera turns around, as soon as the camera was on Liv's face, I go, oh, my God, they're going to do it. Cinema! Liv's face turns into John Cena's face at the Elimination Chamber when he was hugging Cody Rhodes. Liv goes serious. She gets down, and just as John Cena had done to Cody Rhodes, Liv low blows John Cena. John Cena gets hit with a 619 by Dominik Mysterio. And just as John Cena had done to Cody Rhodes, Liv Morgan lays him out with the Intercontinental Championship. Dominik Mysterio goes for the frog splash. Liv gets the referee back in the ring. 1, 2, 3. Dominik Mysterio is once again your Intercontinental Championship. The place goes nuts for a massive storytelling finish, one that played into everything that happened at Elimination Chamber. In a retirement run where John Cena has paid tribute to so many things throughout his career, he pays tribute to the one incident that is probably the most controversial of his entire retirement run, because the moment was so massive, but the follow-up was so not. However, in my mind, it's like, how do we put a bow on that? How do we connect the dots on that? How do we make that mean something? In my mind, and maybe I'm reaching, but Liv Morgan acted as the karma that John Cena deserved for what he did to Cody Rhodes. John Cena turning heel, John Cena doing what he did to Cody Rhodes. John Cena, I mean, he lost the title to Cody, but that was in an honorable way. They shook hands after that. John Cena never really paid for what he did to Cody. And I think the karma for what John Cena did to Cody caught up with him. And the karma for what John Cena did to Cody was the exact thing that cost him the Intercontinental Championship against Dominik Mysterio. And that karma showed up with the exact same actions that John Cena had performed at Elimination Chamber, but in the physical form of Liv Morgan. And we get to see Liv Morgan and Dominik Mysterio embrace once more. Liv Dom is back. As massive as Dominik Mysterio is, as big of a deal as the whole thing is, you've got to admit, there is something different about seeing Liv Morgan and Dominik Mysterio together. When those two are together, it just elevates both of them to such an extent. And, you know, I mean, I think that I had kind of thought that Liv Morgan would come back almost like a reverse sort of Miss Elizabeth, Sensational Sherry, WrestleMania 7 scenario where Liv Morgan returns to aid in the babyface turn of Dominik Mysterio. And that's maybe because I've been so eager to see that babyface turn happen. Technically, Liv and Dom are back to being heels. Technically, Liv is now back in the Judgment Day. And I would imagine that once that Judgment Day starts interacting, the power struggle is going to be something fierce, because Dominik Mysterio is once again back to being a double champ. Liv Morgan helped Dominik Mysterio beat John Cena for that Intercontinental title. When you beat John Cena for the Intercontinental title, no one can tell you anything. And since Liv Morgan's been gone, Raquel and Roxanne lost the Women's Tag Team Championship, and Finn Balor and JD McDonough lost the Men's Tag Team Championship. So as far as I can see, the power struggle is going to be real, and it seems like I know exactly where it's landing. And there's now, instead of this idea that Dominik gets kicked out of the Judgment Day and, you know, Liv and Dom have this babyface run, there's another way to do this where they kick other people out of the Judgment Day, where the Judgment Day continues to evolve as one of the most, you know, a faction with one of the wildest stories of any faction in terms of maintaining its relevancy over the course of years and changing the very dynamic of what it is. But a Judgment Day that once brought Dominik Mysterio in as a joke and was the bad influence that led to him turning on his family could now be led by the man himself, Dominik Mysterio. That rise to power is real. And it's so interesting because when you think about that, how it all started, for me, I didn't think anything would be better than Dominik Mysterio and Rhea Ripley. I thought I said, you know, as much as like I like the idea of Rhea going babyface and Rhea and Dom splitting up, I said there's no way that you're going to be able to recapture that magic between Liv Morgan and Dominik Mysterio that you have with Rhea Ripley and Dominik Mysterio, because make no mistake about it, that whole era was magic. It built Dominik Mysterio into the superstar that he is now. But Liv and Dom is better. Somehow it's even better. And it is an insane thing to watch happen. And I don't think that would continue. You know what I mean? I don't think that you can just follow that chain of events and find the one who's now going to take Liv Morgan's place is going to be even better. And then the next one to take that one's place would be even better. No, this is it, I think. This is the final form, I think. And if anything, the fact that like you end up in a scenario where Dominik Mysterio, while Liv Morgan was gone, because the whole thing is that while Rhea Ripley was gone, there was shenanigans going on between Liv Morgan and Dominik Mysterio. They were coming out of rooms. They were doing God knows what. And that's what made it so that when Rhea Ripley came back, she was a babyface and Dom's a heel. Liv Morgan's been gone for months, and Dominik Mysterio never fell for any of Roxanne Perez's shenanigans, to the point where for a while, Roxanne Perez gave up trying. That felt like it was a direction they were going in the beginning, but then after a while, they were like, okay, well, that's not happening. So the fact that Dominik Mysterio never buckled, the fact that Dominik Mysterio never crossed the line with Roxanne Perez or anybody else means that character, for the first time in the existence of that version of the Dominik Mysterio character, has displayed a level of integrity. And the fact that we see integrity from the prison version of Dominik Mysterio for the first time is going to be one of those key building blocks in transitioning Dominik from a heel to a babyface without really changing much in the Dominik Mysterio character at all, other than the fact that now he's wrestling guys like Finn Balor, I think. On one end, I'm sitting here going, I want Finn Balor back in the WWE Championship title picture. I want Finn Balor back in the main event picture. I think that it could be great, but at the same time, I'm going, well, I mean, if there's going to be a split with Dominik Mysterio, I definitely want Dominik getting the better of his former Judgment Day brethren. So it'll be really interesting to see where it all goes. And of course, while all of this is going on, John Cena gets up after we realized that Liv Morgan and Dominik Mysterio have fooled us all, and that John Cena has, for the first time in his career, lost the Intercontinental Championship. But Grand Slam John Cena kind of stands up and looks around. In that moment, it's the first moment that we know he won't wrestle on a WWE PLE anymore. In that moment, it's the first moment that he's not holding a WWE championship. I think that part of the distraction in how close we were to the end of John Cena leading to this was that we got a story. I think that if the last 4 John Cena matches had all been kind of these standalone exhibition type matches, and, coming off of AJ, so that would have been 5. If the last 5 John Cena appearances, which would have been, Crown Jewel, the 2 Monday Night Raws, Survivor Series, and Saturday Night's Main Event, if they had all been 5 separate standalone exhibition matches, the way AJ Styles was and the way the last match will be, then I think we would have felt that countdown. We're going to get right back to it, but financial technology is advancing faster than ever. You can stay on top of it with Cash App. Cash App just released a new status program for the way people actually spend. Cash App Green. Cash App Green unlocks new ways for you to pay, get rewarded, and easily grow or manage your money on your terms. Now, when you spend at least $500 a month with the Cash App card or Cash App Pay, you earn green status, which unlocks benefits like up to $200 of free overdraft coverage, higher borrow limits, and custom personalized cashback offers every Friday at places you love to shop. Turn everyday spending into status with Cash App Green. Download Cash App today or visit cash.app/new to learn more about this and other great features launching now. For a limited time, new Cash App customers can earn $10 if they use code CASHAPP10 in their profile at sign up and send $5 to a friend within 14 days. Terms apply. Cash App is a financial services platform, not a bank. Banking services provided by Cash App's partners. Prepaid debit cards issued by Sutton Bank member FDIC. Cash App Green, overdraft coverage, borrow, cashback offers, and promotions. Provided by Cash App, a Block Inc. brand. Visit cash.app/legal/podcast for full disclosures. But I think the fact that we had an actual story arc this late in the game for John Cena, the fact that there was this actual story being told with John Cena and Dominik Mysterio, I think that kept John Cena active as far as a member of the roster. And now you look ahead and you realize that story is complete. Dominik Mysterio won. You realize that the Intercontinental Championship is off of John Cena's waist. That story is complete. He's no longer a title holder. There's nothing left for him to do in the WWE but have his one final match. And we found out this week that the final four in the John Cena tournament are Gunther and LA Knight. I'm sorry, the two matches are going to be Gunther and Solo Sikoa and Jey Uso and LA Knight. So you've got a million ways you could go about it. You could, who knows? You could have Bloodline versus Bloodline. You could have Solo Sikoa versus Jey Uso in the finals of this thing. Could be classic good guy versus classic bad guy. Gunther versus LA Knight. You could run it back with Jey Uso versus Gunther one more time. How does this new Jey Uso stand up to Gunther? I think that would be very compelling. Or who knows? LA Knight versus Solo Sikoa, right? I mean, there's a few different ways you could go about this. And man, I'm sitting here, right? And I talked to you guys about this, the reality that we may have seen John Cena's final victory in the WWE on Monday Night Raw at Madison Square Garden. He loses to Dominik Mysterio at Survivor Series. He loses the Intercontinental title. His big losses on this retirement tour are to Cody Rhodes, which was the passing of the torch. Brock Lesnar, which was to build Brock Lesnar into the monster that we saw in War Games, into the monster that you can put on the WrestleMania poster for 42, into the monster that I'm sure will be a big part of 2026. And Dominik Mysterio being the young guy from the beginning of this. Oh, you should put over a young guy. He did. It was Dominik Mysterio. For me, you know how I feel. While it would be poetic for Jey Uso to win the tournament, because really the first one-on-one physical conflict that John Cena had on this retirement tour was at the Royal Rumble in January when Jey Uso and John Cena were the final two in the Royal Rumble. And it would be an amazing bookend. But it's Gunther. I really think it's Gunther. I think it's Gunther. That is my pick. Has always been my pick. Remains my pick for the winner of this tournament. And I sit here, and the question is now a more serious question with us less than 2 weeks away from this Saturday night's main event. Is John Cena going to lose his final match? And my brain, the brain part of me says, yes, John Cena is going to lose his final match. My logic part of my brain says that John Cena is going to lose his final match because the person that wins this 16-man tournament, that beats 4 other superstars just to get this match, you would think ends by getting that final victory over John Cena. That ultimately that's the prize. That nobody wants to win a tournament so they can go to John Cena's last match and get beat by John Cena. That's not in the spirit of the prize. Also, John Cena feels like the type of guy that would want to go out on his back and push somebody forward. Also, if it's Gunther, now you've put Gunther in supervillain status if he can retire John Cena and Goldberg in the same calendar year. But that's my brain. That's the logical part. My heart right now, and maybe I'm just emotional because I watched John Cena's final match on a PLE. I don't want John Cena to lose. It's not going to make me happy to see John Cena lose. I want John Cena to win. The feel-good moment is John Cena winning. Now, I think win or lose, we still get the feel-good moment. I think the same way after losing the Intercontinental title, Dominik and Liv got their celebration, and then John Cena was able to stand up and kind of address the audience and acknowledge that that was it for him at Survivor Series in San Diego on a PLE. I think we can still get that. I think Gunther can beat John Cena, and he can leave because Gunther doesn't have a big post-match celebration, but he can accept the win, walk out, and as John Cena gets to his feet, he can still do a farewell speech. He can still have the ring filled with people. He can still, have that moment, And I mean, look, I would love it if they said, okay, and John Cena's going to come back for one more Raw so we can do kind of what we did for Ric Flair. When Ric Flair retired, that WrestleMania that Raw after WrestleMania. When Ric Flair had that celebration, it was beautiful. I would love for that to happen for John Cena. I just don't know if it will. I think it more than likely will happen at Saturday night's main event. But if it does, I think that can happen after a loss. Again, do I want it to be a loss in my soul, in my heart, in my blood, in my feelings? Do I want John Cena to lose that match? Hell no, no. I really don't want John Cena to lose that match. But, I still think he might. I hope he doesn't, but I think he might. We'll have 2 weeks to speculate on that. Who knows? Who knows how long we're going to speculate on who was that masked man? By the time you're listening to this, maybe we already know who the masked man was. But the masked man that ended War Games, controversial finish, I would say. I don't think that a lot of us are used to, in a modern day product, having a cliffhanger ending to a PLE in WWE. It feels like an old school way to go. This was something that we would see in the Attitude Era, where there would be something like instead of a PLE being the big moment, and TV becomes where you see, kind of, it's not like you have a specific question. It's like you see this massive moment on a PLE, and then you're tuning into the television to see the aftermath because there's going to be aftermath. In the Attitude Era, it was more like there would be a direct question. Who did that? What's going to happen now that this has happened? Things like that. And I think the idea of a masked man running in and us not knowing who that masked man was is not something that we've seen in recent memory, but is something that we have in front of us to discuss. The masked man comes in, sidekick to the face and stomp, Seth Rollins style, exits the cage. Paul Heyman would say nothing about who this person was, or even if he had anything to do with them, or if they were a member of the Vision, or anything like that on the pay-per-view post-show. We got no new information on this fella from Paul Heyman whatsoever. We also got no new information about whether Logan Paul was actually in the Vision or not. Look, Logan Paul's not on TV every week. So I would imagine that Logan Paul's role with the Vision will continue. I would hope. I would think. It would make sense that it would. I just don't think he'll be on television with the Vision every single week. Although, honestly, at this point, I think it would be kind of great if he was. We'll talk about Logan Paul and the promo on his hand in a couple minutes. But it was interesting because he did Seth Rollins' moves, this masked man did. And coming off of Survivor Series, I saw some of the Hot Take Kings going, well, this can't be Seth Rollins because if he lies about an injury again, it would be bad. It would be bad if he lies about another injury. How will we ever know what's real? Number one, we're not supposed to know what's real. It's wrestling. Number two, when the audience thought that the mask was going to come off, right? You could feel the audience watching that show. When that masked man came in and he did Seth Rollins' moves, the audience knew what they were seeing. And I believe that a lot of them, based on the sounds they were making, thought that the mask was going to be coming off and that was Seth Rollins. And maybe Seth Rollins had decided that as much as he hates the Vision and as much as he hates Paul Heyman, he hates CM Punk even worse. And the fact that the crowd was excited over the fact that it might be Seth Rollins and he might have tricked us again tells you everything you need to know. If Seth Rollins were under that mask and Seth Rollins were working this injury as well and he tricked us again, no fan would be upset about that. Everybody would react like, oh my God, it would be the biggest thing ever. But I don't think it's Seth Rollins. I think he's injured. I don't think that it's Seth Rollins. A lot of people are pointing to the idea that it could be Austin Theory, which would make sense. Paul Heyman and Austin Theory go way back. Austin Theory was a big part of Monday Night Raw when Paul Heyman was in charge of Monday Night Raw from a real life perspective. Austin Theory was a part of Seth Rollins' group when Seth Rollins first became the Visionary. Austin Theory was by his side. The guy had a big back, And Austin Theory's a big muscle boy. So the body type in and of itself. Now, listen, the beauty of having a masked man who wasn't revealed is that you don't have to have the same guy be the guy that is revealed. Technically, it could have been the Brooklyn Brawler under that mask in Survivor Series. The only thing that matters is who's under the mask when the mask comes off. But if it's him, physically, it would kind of match up. And there were rumors that he was going to be in War Games from the beginning, Austin Theory, that is, for what it's worth. I don't know that those rumors mean anything, but there were rumors. So it's gotten people pointed in that direction. And he's got to come back at some point, right? He's got to. So, Theory's a good guess. But for me, if we're going to have something like this, to not speculate wildly about it would be against everything that we stand for here at Notsam Wrestling. That's the fun, that we can guess who it is. And we can say, we can present a couple of names. We can say, yeah, it might be Austin Theory, but what if? That's my favorite conversation, but what if? Now, you got to expand upon that. And I play that game with anybody that I talk to about wrestling. They go, what if it's this person? I go, okay, what if it's that person? Why would it be that person? Does it really make sense? And if you don't have those questions, it's like, okay, we got to move on to the next name. I presented on the Emergency podcast, imagine if it's Sami Zayn. It would have to be a completely different version of Sami Zayn. I mean, look, I think of all people, Sami Zayn is ready for a refresh. I think the idea of Sami Zayn owning the fact that he's very, very good, not acting as if he's fighting an uphill battle when he's not fighting an uphill battle anymore. I think that would be a nice transition. But I think, like, literally, you cut his beard short and you shave his head. You know what I mean? Like, he looks physically different. He looks more serious. He looks more threatening. He doesn't look like an everyman anymore. He looks far less relatable. I think that's something. I still think that there's something there to it. But, man, I had an idea, and the Sami Zayn thing would be cool, but I had an idea in my head that I cannot shake for the life of me. I was thinking about who it could be, and this name fell upon me, and I was like, oh God, this would be so much fun. For me, I think so. I would love to hear what you think. I think this would be great. I'm going, okay, let's keep in mind all the things that we know. This person came in to help the vision. I don't think it's Seth Rollins or Becky Lynch, number one, because Becky Lynch's shoulders are not that broad. But number two, Becky and Seth have both said, well, Becky has said that she, and on behalf of Seth, that he as well, hate Paul Heyman, hate the Vision. The Vision attacked Seth Rollins. Like, there was a whole thing. So I would have a lot of issues if Seth Rollins just was all of a sudden on the side of the Vision again. So I don't think it's Becky. I don't think it's Seth. I don't think it's anything like that. But I do think it's somebody that supports the Vision. I also think that what else do we know? They support the Vision, and who did they attack? CM Punk. So who has motivation to do both? Who on the WWE roster believes themselves to be the future of the industry? Honestly, to be an uncrowned top guy right now. And has many fans believing the same thing, but has said on television promos as part of canon that it seems like his legs keep getting cut out from under him, that fans notice this, that he notices this, and it is part of the narrative on television, that this is a person who gets pushed just so far, and every time it looks like he's about to get over the finish line, something happens that pulls him back. Who was feuding with CM Punk over just an opportunity to get the World Heavyweight Championship? Forget about being World Heavyweight Champion. Who was there feuding with CM Punk over an opportunity for the World Heavyweight title? And who's got broad shoulders? I personally would love it if that mask comes off and LA Knight is under the mask. I think turning LA Knight heel, I think that CM Punk is a strong enough babyface that you don't have to worry about fans loving LA Knight so much that it eclipses CM Punk's ability to be a babyface. I think LA Knight turning heel, I think LA Knight becoming a Paul Heyman guy, I think LA Knight becoming a Vision guy. I think the idea of LA Knight as a Paul Heyman guy, as a member of the Vision, being somebody that CM Punk has to get through. Because, I mean, right now, CM Punk is the world heavyweight champion. Like, I feel like after Seth got injured, there was a bunch of upheaval. And the smoke is finally cleared. We've gotten a world heavyweight champion. We're past War Games. So now, what do we have? Who is CM Punk going to work with for the world heavyweight title? Is he going to go right to Braun Breaker? I mean, is he going to go right to Bronson Reed? Or is there going to be a fresh story being told? Is there going to be a new opponent for CM Punk? And I know what you're saying. You just said he was feuding with CM Punk before. But this is a different LA Knight. This is a Heymanified LA Knight. This is a heel LA Knight. This is a no more Mr. Nice Guy LA Knight. And I think even like the idea that Punk's first rivalry is against an LA Knight that is no more Mr. Nice Guy is kind of perfect, because LA Knight was definitely Mr. Nice Guy in his rivalry with CM Punk over the world heavyweight title. How many times did LA Knight say, I got no problem with you? How many times did LA Knight say wrong place, wrong time? To the point where it was like, LA Knight, like, show some balls here. What do you mean, like, I got no beef, I got no problem? Have a problem. Have some beef. We love that. Well, what if this is what it takes for him to have a problem? This is what it takes for him to have beef. And who else was in that War Games match? Jey Uso. Who was LA Knight's opponent in the John Cena tournament? Jey Uso. If Jey Uso beats LA Knight in the tournament before LA Knight is exposed as the man behind the mask, well, now you go to Jey Uso versus Gunther in the tournament finals, which is poetic. And you can have LA Knight have built-in rivalries with both CM Punk and Jey Uso right off the bat. If that's what you want to do. I mean, I love that idea. I'm obsessed with that idea. I almost don't want to say it out loud because now it probably won't happen. I mean, look, all that said, the Masked Man was incredibly spry. If you watch him get out of that cage, he was moving lightning fast. It is probably Austin Theory. There's nothing about it that makes me go, well, that's not Austin Theory. But when I let my mind wander, just the idea of that mask being pulled off and everybody expecting Austin Theory, and then LA Knight has those crazy eyes and then hugs Paul Heyman. Oh, I think it would be so great. Maybe you don't like it, maybe you love it. I think that it would be absolutely great. We're going to get right back to it, but I think you're going to find this information useful, guys. By now, you've heard all about these VPNs, and might I suggest NordVPN. NordVPN is everything you need if you're looking for geo-blocked entertainment to no longer be geo-blocked. If you're looking for more privacy, if you're looking for more security when you surf the internet, NordVPN is the way to go. You can choose from VPN servers across 168 locations. There's always one nearby. Hit the quick connect button, and our smart algorithm will find the best one for you, or their smart algorithm will find the best one for you. NordVPN offers special security features like Threat Protection Pro, an anti-malware tool that helps you avoid malicious downloads, phishing scams, and ads. Amazing speed. NordVPN is actually one of the fastest VPNs out there. And one NordVPN account can be used across 10 devices. I'm telling you, put it on your phone, put it on your laptop, put it on your tablet. Exclusive NordVPN deal for you guys. NordVPN.com/NotSam is the place to go. You can try NordVPN now risk-free with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Go to NordVPN.com/NotSam for that exclusive deal. Try it for yourself. You know, they talked about, and I talked about, the idea of War Games being the place where seeds get planted for WrestleMania. And one of those seeds being planted for sure is after the interference in that match, Braun Breaker pinning CM Punk. Braun Breaker pinned the World Heavyweight Champion. You've now got a Bronson Reed who's pinned Roman Reigns, and a Braun Breaker who has pinned CM Punk as the WWE World Heavyweight Champion in War Games. That is massive for the whole group. The question is that where they go for WrestleMania? Is it already time for Braun Breaker to be getting a World Heavyweight Championship match at WrestleMania? See, I think it's very interesting because it got me thinking that way, because leading to the War Games, I figured Roman Reigns versus CM Punk was going to be the WrestleMania match. I think I said it on this podcast who knows how many times. Except then all of a sudden, at the end of that War Games match, Roman Reigns helps Punk up and fist bumps him. Cody Rhodes, and I'm sticking by this. Some people are saying Roman didn't help Cody up. I'm saying Cody got up on his own and didn't allow Roman to help him up. I believe that Cody was the aggressor in this confrontation with Roman Reigns. I believe that Cody may have been more upset about losing that match than Roman or CM Punk was. And that's probably because Cody realistically saw himself as the captain of that team. And he doesn't want a team that he's captaining to have lost that match. And he's not fist bumping Roman Reigns. He's right in Roman Reigns' face. And Roman Reigns looks at him and says, just so you know, this will be the last time we ever team. And Cody has no problem with that. He's staring daggers into Roman Reigns. Like, that tension is all the way back. We are all the way back to you're in my way in life. The idea of Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes is real. And listen, I think Roman Reigns versus Punk is an incredible story. I think we saw it again at Survivor Series, that moment where Brock Lesnar is standing at one end of the aisle and Roman Reigns is at the other end of the aisle, and they have to meet in the middle. Like, there has to be that confrontation in order for either one of them to exist. I think that is overwhelmingly compelling. Roman versus Brock, Roman versus Punk, but there is something special about Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes. And there is this idea of, like, if that's where you're going to go, does Cody have to turn heel? No. But can Cody get a little more edgy? Yeah. Can Cody accept the fact? Cody has said on his podcast before that he understands that sometimes it's an away game, that he's not going to get cheered in every match, at every show, in every building. He's going to stay himself, but sometimes it's an away game. Cody Rhodes is allowed to be resentful of Roman Reigns. Cody Rhodes is allowed to be annoyed that Roman Reigns won't go away. Cody Rhodes, and I think you got to look at everything that's being said right now, because everything counts. It's a rule of Notsam Wrestling. Triple H goes on whatever it was, the pre-show or the post-show, and he goes, Roman Reigns almost transcends the championship. Roman Reigns is almost bigger than all of it, And he even brings into question, does Roman Reigns need to win the Royal Rumble? Does Roman Reigns need to win the Elimination Chamber? Does a superstar like Roman Reigns really need to earn that shot, or are they entitled to it? And you go, whoa. And Roman Reigns has not gotten a shot at the WWE Championship. He got a shot at the World Heavyweight Championship in that triple threat at WrestleMania last year, but he hasn't gotten a shot back at his WWE Championship since losing it to Cody at WrestleMania 40. It'll be 2 years in April. But the fact that Triple H is saying all of this, if I'm Cody Rhodes, I'm like, screw him. I'm the captain. I'm the guy. I'm your guy. I'm the one going to every show. I'm the one on TV every week. I'm the one that's here holding this down. I'm the one headlining WrestleMania and SummerSlam with John Cena. I'm the guy, and I earned it. And now you're telling the world that Roman Reigns is the guy? Screw that. If I'm Cody Rhodes, that's how I'm feeling. And the idea that that's the story that you tell going in, I mean, imagine the idea of Roman Reigns not competing in the Elimination Chamber or the Royal Rumble. Imagine if the winner of the Royal Rumble faces the World Heavyweight Champion at WrestleMania, and the Elimination Chamber is a match where one of the titles is on the line. They've done that before. What if in the Elimination Chamber match, either Cody defends the WWE Championship or CM Punk or whoever it is defends the World Heavyweight Championship, and Roman just gets the match? And what if Roman just gets the match and we all cheer it? And Cody Rhodes is like, you have to be kidding me. Cody Rhodes is legit in feeling that way if that's the scenario. And now Cody Rhodes has to walk in And who knows? I mean, who knows what the reaction is? Imagine if Cody Rhodes beats Roman Reigns under those circumstances. Does he get booed? Imagine if Cody Rhodes, after all this fighting, loses that match to Roman Reigns and then has to figure out who he is, and maybe he's been doing all of this wrong. I think, there are a few matches that you can three-peat at a WrestleMania. By the way, Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar have three-peated at WrestleMania. 31, 34, 38. Yeah. Rock and Austin did 15, 17, 19. Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns, 39, 40, 42. I mean, it's a different story going into this one, and it's a rubber match. Roman has one, Cody has one. I think there is a very compelling story that you could tell from a lot of different directions if Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns is where you're going for WrestleMania. And it's also amazing to me that we can have one simple interaction at the end of this match where Cody is the aggressor, not Roman. And we're already going down an entirely different road than the road that we started. I can't wait to see how it develops. I want to see Roman Reigns back on TV regularly. I don't know if the ending of War Games leads me to believe that Roman Reigns is back. I don't know that we see him, honestly, the rest of the year, unfortunately. I hope it picks up soon. But if the idea is that he's going to WrestleMania in a WWE Championship match and that he'll be here for the build to WrestleMania, and there's the potential that he'll win the title and stick around, it might be worth hitting pause on that for now and seeing if 2026 can be as massive as we think it can possibly be. Speaking of massive, we didn't get to talk about it on the emergency pod, but the women's War Games match, we got a lot out of that women's War Games match. We got the Becky Lynch versus Charlotte moment that I think a lot of us have been waiting for. Those women putting hands on each other. It was something that San Diego wanted. I know watching, it was something that I wanted to see. There's just something so historic about that. Becky, I loved the spot where Becky was trying to keep AJ out of the cage. And so then AJ hopped the cage and got in through the roof. I was a little surprised that they did kind of a very similar spot later in the night. I mean, it was executed differently because Cody ended up doing a dive off the top of the cage instead of just climbing over. But still, Drew holding the cage shut is not that dissimilar from Becky Lynch holding the cage shut. But, we got to see, of course, Io Sky's swanton off the cage in a garbage can. I loved AJ being too short to get that garbage can up to Io. So Rhea put AJ on her shoulders, got the garbage can to her, got the swanton, and then boom. Becky, who avoided the swanton, ended up in a riptide, and then a Black Widow taps out for the finish. The good guys win. Now, there's a couple of real stars in that match. Number one, I mean, the difference between Rhea Ripley and everybody else, just in terms of star power, is astronomical. And that's not to take anything away from anybody else. It's just to point out what a big deal Rhea Ripley is. I mean, she's one of the biggest stars, male, female, doesn't matter, that the WWE has right now. And her coming out, she was on the Raw Recap podcast with myself and Megan, and she said she had a special mask. And that's now becoming War Games tradition as well. Remember, she had that horned mask thing that she came out with at War Games last year. This year, and I hope it's different enough, or that Damian Leone can sign the rights over, because the horror references was out of control at War Games this year. CM Punk in full Halloween 3 Season of the Witch gear just made my day. And Rhea Ripley coming out in full Art the Clown deco. Her mask was perfect. Jason Baker killed it on that Art the Clown mask that Rhea Ripley was wearing. But Rhea wearing the Art the Clown mask, carrying a garbage bag full of weapons the same way Art the Clown would walk through Terrifier, with just that old garbage bag that was full of tools and lethal weapons that he would use to just torture people with. And of course, the gear that was all decked out in Terrifier stuff too. Whatever this Rhea Ripley Terrifier crossover is, I absolutely love it. Because, I mean, the Terrifier franchise is one of my favorites. You know, you can go to my Not Sam YouTube channel. I've interviewed Damian Leone a couple of times now. He's been here in the Not Sam studio right after Terrifier 2 came out. I just reached out to him. I said, yo, dude, you got to come over and do a podcast. And he did. And, I mean, I just, you know, I've been a fan for a long time, since before it was really the franchise that it's become. Terrifier is now right up there to me in this generation. You got Terrifier, you got Ghostface, you got Michael Myers, you got all of it. I mean, Art the Clown is in Fortnite, for God's sake. It's amazing. But Rhea Ripley coming out as that, and I thought the other star of the women's War Games match was Lash Legend. Lash Legend, I mean, she looked like a legend. She looked so good in this match, beating up Rhea Ripley. And Rhea Ripley, just like, of all the people in that match to be a victim of Lash Legend's power, the fact that it was Rhea Ripley, I mean, talk about putting somebody on a pedestal. There's not much more you could have done for Lash Legend to make her look like $1 million in that match. I've talked about Lash Legend for a little while now. And the fact that, like, you watched her, if you watched her in NXT, she improved so dramatically, more so than anybody else. And a person's ability to improve and learn and become good that quickly it's a remarkable trait. And I think we've only seen the beginning of what Lash Legend is even capable of. But I think, like, when you start looking at people that it's like, okay, when you start spacing out that roster and go like, okay, who's up next? Okay, who's up within the next 5 years? For me, right now, if I'm making long-term investments, I'm making them on Dom Mysterio. I mean, Braun Breaker's the obvious one, but like we said, like, Braun Breaker pinned CM Punk. He might end up going to WrestleMania this year. So that's an obvious one. But in terms of, like, the long-term investment that I'm making now, where I'm going to get the most back for my money, I'm putting it on Dominik Mysterio. I'm putting it on Javon Evans. I'm putting it on Lash Legend. Those three are going to be here. I mean, we've been doing this podcast for, I don't know, 11, 12 years, something like that. A decade from now, we're still going to be talking about those names. And they're still going to be actively doing stuff. That's your group that at WrestleMania 50, when I start thinking about WrestleMania 50, you're going to have a bunch of people in there, of course, that we don't even know right now. But WrestleMania 50, you're going to have Dom Mysterio, Javon Evans, Lash Legend in some massive, massive matches. Mark my word. And you only saw the beginning of it at War Games. Speaking of War Games, I thought that the whole War Game setup, I thought this week was a good lesson learned in, I don't know if media literacy is the right word, but I mean, you know, everybody is so sure that they're right. And they don't just take time to think about it. Like, for instance, I couldn't believe the amount of people that after last week's, I think it was SmackDown or Raw, whatever it was, when Logan Paul clearly had his promo written on his hand, and then before he was interrupted, started looking at his hand, and then was interrupted by, I think, Jimmy Uso it was, or maybe it was both Usos. Like, he was looking right at his hand. I go, clearly the guy's trolling. Clearly he's just getting heat. And I can't believe the amount of people that I saw, quote unquote, outing Logan Paul. We got him. And then he puts out this vlog where it's like, I can't believe this worked. He's looking at his Twitter mentions and he's like, I can't believe people thought this was real. And Paul Heyman's laughing. Like, I don't know that I can have a real serious wrestling conversation if it didn't at least occur to you that Logan Paul did that on purpose. Like, to get people talking, to troll people, to get the heat on purpose. And then I felt it was the same thing when I saw these fake Titantrons come out. You know what I mean? Like as they were building up War Games, there were multiple people. So in San Diego, that baseball stadium, it's obviously open air, and it's right in the middle of downtown, like literally in the middle of it. I say every year, like, that I'm in San Diego for Comic-Con, You just walk down a block and all of a sudden you're looking at a baseball stadium. It's right there in the middle of everything. It's kind of cool in that way. But I say that to say that there's apartment buildings all around it. So like there are people who have a view from their apartment that look right down on what's going on in the stadium, which meant that there was video going out of building the stadium out for war games, which is great. Like, I don't have any problem with that at all. If I saw war games through I wouldn't have slept for the whole 10 days that they were building up that war game set. I wouldn't have slept. I would have just been up all night watching them build war games and thought it was the greatest thing in the world. And posting it online. I think that's all great. But then they started testing videos like entrance themes and Titantrons and stuff like that. And they put up Stone Cold's video and entrance. But I think they did like Jinder Mahal's too. They might have even done Dean Ambrose. I know eventually people started making fake ones just because it was so funny. And most people, I think, realized what was happening. Like that WWE was aware. Obviously, WWE, if you're aware that there's video of the War Games set out, WWE is aware that there's video of the War Games set out. If you're aware that there are apartments that look down on the building of that set, WWE is aware of that. And so I thought it was funny that I saw that immediately and I was like, oh my God, what a great troll. Like just put up a bunch of like Titantron. You got to test it. So if you're testing that big screen, put up a bunch of videos that of people that aren't even coming. I took it as a troll. Other people were like, Stone Cold rumored to be in War Games. I was like, come on. Come on. What? And then even like the reports that were coming out. I love the reports. And who knows, maybe it's real. Reports coming out before War Games that there were all these creative differences. That on the men's team, there were reports that there were creative differences of who's coming out in what order. And that they were having to figure it out at the last minute. And you're like, oh, you mean from the team that storyline has been struggling with egos and who's actually in charge. That storyline team is having problems. You don't see how that real life event fits in perfectly with the story that's being told. No? Okay. All right. And then it was kind of laid out perfectly because like the way it worked out was like CM Punk and Cody Rhodes came out first. And Roman and his cousins came out last. It was Jimmy, then Jay, then Roman as the last people coming out on his team. So if you believe the internet reports, then I guess Roman won the battle. But regardless, in a world where everything counts, this is the new kayfabe. It's all, none of it's real because it's all real. You know what I'm saying? It's the greatest. I really, really enjoy it. We'll get right back to it. But guys, if you've been feeling stuck in your daily wellness routine, you're not alone. Our friends at, Cornbread Hemp, they hear you. Their organic CBD gummies are made to help you feel better, whether it's stress, whether it's poor sleep, or just needing a moment to unwind. CBD may be just what you need to level up your daily routine. Cornbread Hemp uses only the best part of the hemp plant, the flower, for the purest and most potent CBD. No fillers, no junk, just full spectrum goodness. Right now, they're offering 30% off your first order. All you have to do is go to cornbreadhemp.com/notsam and use code NOTSAM at checkout. That's cornbreadhemp.com/notsam with code NOTSAM to get 30% off your first order. Let me know if you enjoy it. Email in, notsamwrestling@gmail.com. It's notsamwrestling@gmail.com. Again, notsamwrestling@gmail.com. If you want to send an email into the show, they are coming in fast and furious. Let's go to Raj in Queens. Sam, how was your Thanksgiving? It was incredible. In fact, I would give my Thanksgiving a big... hope you enjoyed it with the family. I did. I'm thankful for one thing this year, and it's for all the content you've been putting out. Yeah, I mean, it's been a lot of content, but if you're keeping up with it, it's all been very, very good. It's been a rough year for me, and your podcast helped escape the reality for a little while. Well, I appreciate that, and I hope they do. That's what they're meant to be. That's what wrestling's meant to be. And I'd like to expand that with my show. Enough of the mushy stuff. I have one question. Thank you. Why did Roman help CM Punk to his feet at War Games and was hesitant with Cody? I thought Roman hates Punk the most. Does Roman know something about Cody that we don't? Maybe that Cody was the one behind Jacob Fatu's attack. I don't think it has anything to do with Jacob Fatu's attack. I think that would complicate things way too much. Although, Roman has talked about how important his family is. So maybe it's possible. I think if you look at it, I think maybe Punk had finally won Roman's respect because of how hard he fought. Keep in mind, Punk was the first person in that match. And it's like, okay, like for once, like Roman's like, it is what it is. That wasn't on you. And you fought your ass off. Good for you. If you look at it, and I'm going to look at it again, because I don't think I'm wrong. I'm usually not, but I could be. It felt like Roman was prepared to help Cody Rhodes up. And it looked like he was waiting for his hand there, but Cody never lifted his head. You can't offer your hand to somebody if they're not looking at you because they might not take your hand by accident, and then you look like a fool. So I thought he was waiting for Cody to look up so that he could offer him his hand as well. And then Cody popped up because I took it as Cody not wanting Roman's help, not Roman not wanting to give Cody help. And then when Cody clearly didn't want Roman's help, that's when Roman was offended. And that's when Roman remembered, you have something of mine. That's when Roman remembered where things really started to get messy. Things did not start to get messy at WrestleMania 41. Things did not start to get messy at last year's War Games. Things got messy after Roman lost the title. Everything fell apart after Roman lost the title. Why did Paul Heyman betray Roman Reigns? Because Roman wasn't there for Paul when Paul was held hostage by Solo and the New Bloodline. Why did that happen? Because Roman went away after he lost the title. It's all going to come back, I think, to Roman losing the title and that being the moment that everything went wrong. And there's only one thing that Roman can do to put it right again, and that's get the title back. That's the way I took the Cody Punk interaction. Let's go to Toby. This might be a wild question, but with Jake Paul's fight against Anthony Joshua being on Netflix and Logan always turning up at Jake's fights, is there any chance we can see the Wise Man or any of the Vision accompany Paul at the event, both on Netflix? So I think it's a good chance to cross-promote, or am I crazy? No, I think it would be a good chance to cross-promote. I don't know if Jake Paul would want to get involved in it. You know what I mean? If Jake Paul's not making money off WWE, if Jake Paul is trying to do this boxing thing over here, not the wrestling thing, I don't know if Jake Paul would be into it. I think it'd be amazing. I think it'd be a lot of fun. I think that it would just be a matter of Jake Paul being into it. I can't imagine. I think Netflix would love it. I would think, right? I would think. Georgie writes in, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the first time Cody has had black on his tights. I don't think so, but I'm not sure. It didn't strike me when he had black on his tights, but I'm not positive. Could be nothing, but I feel like you. Everything counts. Yeah, I mean, listen. You're right to bring it to the table. Everything counts. Matt writes in, you are the OG PCTC podcast. Oh, yeah, podcast PC, podcast tribal chief. And I acknowledge you. But I have to disagree about John Cena's last match. I want him to win. It's so fun. Sometimes I read these emails, and it's like we really are on the same page. You know what I mean? Like I get it, dude. I get it. What's the best last match in recent memory? Sting. Sting won. Recently, respectfully, I disagree with you about Gunther winning and being launched like Brock Lesnar when he beat Undertaker. That wasn't Undertaker's last match. Undertaker won his last match versus AJ Styles. Undertaker losing the WrestleMania streak was a way bigger deal than Undertaker's last match. And maybe partly that was because it was the pandemic. But the end was the end. The streak was it. The streak is the one that everybody still talks about. I've seen John Cena lose enough. All he's done since his last WrestleMania main event is more or less lose. That's ridiculous. I mean, all he's done since his last WrestleMania event is more or less lose. He defended the title successfully again. I mean, he was winning all the time. He beat Randy Orton. He beat Logan Paul. He beat AJ Styles. Like, he's only lost to He's lost to 3 people: Cody, Dominik, and Brock Lesnar. But I get it. Oh, his last WrestleMania main event. You mean his last WrestleMania main event was 41. If you're talking about his last WrestleMania main event before that, it was 29. He lost to Wyatt. He lost to Austin Theory. He lost to Reigns. He lost to Solo Sikoa. He lost to Lesnar, and so on. Yeah, but he beat, after his last WrestleMania main event, he beat Wyatt at WrestleMania 30. He won the tag match at WrestleMania, what was that, 33, 34? Like, he lost to The Undertaker. I do think putting over Dom Mysterio was the right move, and now, Sting style, he goes out with his hand held high and the crowd cheering. I do not want to turn off another PLE thinking, that was it. I want to feel good. Okay, I don't think we'll say, that was it, because he'll still get his speech after losing to Gunther. But I do get wanting to feel good. And I mean, I think that's why WrestleMania 40 was so amazing, because you just felt good. I think that there are, a lot of times, and I think it could happen a lot more often in wrestling than it does, where you just go, let's just do the thing that makes people feel good. I think more of that should happen in wrestling. I really do. This is from John and Chelsea. Podcast Chief, I've written in the past to your show, watching WWE with my daughter Chelsea is our thing, and she loves Liv and Dom. Who doesn't? So does Netflix and a lot of the fan base. I don't know how they were ever paired, but WWE struck gold with them as they play off each other so well in mannerisms and presentation. Liv and Dom deep down are actually loved by the fans, but the fans also love to hate them in their antics. They can go Bonnie and Clyde style. As I said on the Survivor Series recap podcast, Bonnie and Clyde could never, when it comes to Liv and Dom. Feud individually or as a couple with baby faces, get booed, yada, yada, yada. All good things eventually come to an end in WWE, but I hope that is not for a long time with these two. Yeah. How do you see WWE using them heading into 2026 outside of the built-in Judgment Day drama? Maybe a mixed tag tournament? Nah. Or an actual mixed tag championship? No. Where they win and very loudly continually let everyone know? No. I think I want to see Liv and Dom versus AJ and Punk. I don't really want to see that, because I think people like Liv and Dom too much. No, what I want to see is Liv and Dom become the power couple of WWE. I think that Liv and Dom should feud with the Judgment Day. I think it should turn them babyface. And I think Dom should be a dominant intercontinental champion. I think Liv Morgan should win a women's championship. I think at some point, whether it's in 2026, 2027, or 2028, they're both world champions. I think that the two of them being a power couple means the two of them controlling, being like top draws in both of their specific rosters. Both of their divisions. I like, there's no reason to do a mixed tag tournament. What are you going to do? Like Seth and Becky, Punk and AJ, like Liv and Dom, like there's 3. You know what I mean? I think, I guess you could do Trick and Lash. But, like, I don't know, man. I'd rather them just be the big stars that they are in their divisions. And when Liv has a big match, Dom is there. And when Dom has a big match, Liv is there. I like that, personally. Camden writes in, hello, Sam. I know after War Games ended that the direction for Mania appears and is rumored to be, it's not rumored to be, by the way, Braun and Punk and Roman and Cody. It's not rumored to be that. Anybody that is like, this is what the rumor is right now, all of it is just based on people watching the show. And whether it's the people that are saying, here is the rumor, here are the rumored matches. Either they are saying that just based on the show, or somebody that told them that that's the plan right now, that person is just watching the show. So just watching the show, it appears as if that could be the move. Okay. I think it's a mistake, okay, namely after what we've seen this year with Roman at odds with Punk and the Vision on Raw. How does Roman jump to Cody with no payoff for those stories told over the past year? Also, the continual tease of Roman Braun. If they both walk out of Mania with titles, that pushes the match even further away from happening. Yes, there is no reason to rush to Braun Breaker versus Roman Reigns. If the idea is that Roman is still going to have time as the top person in WWE, and that Braun Breaker is the future, why would you want either one of them to lose? Like, when you have Braun Breaker versus Roman Reigns, it means it's time for one of them to lose. And it probably means it's time for Roman Reigns to lose. When Roman Reigns loses to Braun Breaker, you want him to be the strongest Roman Reigns that he's ever been. If the purpose is to build up Braun Breaker. I don't think there should be any rush. I mean, theoretically, Braun Breaker versus Roman Reigns could be like Roman Reigns' last match. It could be 2 years before I see Braun Breaker versus Roman Reigns. I'm fine with that. The fact is that, like, yes, Roman has unfinished business with Punk. And yes, Roman has unfinished business with the Vision. But Roman also has unfinished business with Cody that predates all of that. What about losing the title at WrestleMania 40? What about You're In My Way in Life? What about all of that never got answered? If you're going on a list of Roman stuff that he's got to settle, and you're going by time, the Cody stuff predates all of this. As a matter of fact, all of this tension with the Vision, with Punk, all of it, with Seth Rollins, all of it really exists because they all got in his way on his road back to facing Cody Rhodes. It all really, there's tension in the Rumble. And the tension, there's tension at Survivor Series last year. And that starts with Punk and Roman and Heyman. But realistically, where it comes to a head is last year at the Royal Rumble, or this year, the beginning of the year at the Royal Rumble, when Roman got eliminated. The idea was Roman is going to win the Royal Rumble and face Cody Rhodes to get his title back. And Seth and Punk caused Roman to get eliminated, and that took him off course. So just as much as, we've been building Punk and Roman, and we've been building Roman in the Vision, Cody and Roman has been there the whole time, the entire time. Cody and Roman was there before Solo and Roman was. So if we're going by stories that need an ending, one getting an ending doesn't mean the others aren't going to get endings. You know what I mean? But to say that, like, you didn't finish the Cody one, the Punk one. Yeah, but the Punk one interrupted the Cody one. So that's kind of why I'm hopeful that Roman Reigns has a much more active 2026. And it's not, I'm happy for Roman to get to work the exact schedule that he should work based on the contract that he signed, based on the value that he possesses to that company. I'm more talking about as a fan wanting to see stories play out. That's all. Let's go to Chris. Greetings to my podcast QB1. That's me. I wanted to get your thoughts on some Survivor Series ideas. First of all, I missed the shark cages this year. I missed those too. I figured it was because there's so much star power in the men's match that you didn't want Roman and Cody and Brock and Braun Breaker and all Logan Paul, all of them just standing around for a half hour on camera. And also, you wanted the stories to play out in the ring this year. That was my thought. People getting their full entrance and getting their stuff in while their team is getting beat up felt weird. I would agree. Also, I was thinking they should only do one War Games match a year, whichever has a better story, or women and the others just do a traditional Survivor Series match. I'm not against that. I'm not against that. It's a big conversation about whether or not the War Games match needs to be an annual event. And I love War Games matches, but I do think having 2 Royal Rumbles in one night, having 2 War Games in one night, all of it gets to be a lot. I think I heard this year more than any other year about how much people wanted to have traditional Survivor Series matches back. I saw some people going like, yeah, that was what, traditional Survivor Series matches kind of started to fall off in like 1992. And by 1996, it was like one Survivor Series match just for old time's sake. Like they're not it. But I was kind of thinking that yeah, like I felt like this year, if you had done men's War Games, women's Survivor Series elimination, I thought that would have been fine, And I think I would not mind that idea at all. We're going to do a Survivor Series match. We're going to do a War Games match. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe this one will be men. Maybe this one will be women. I wouldn't mind that. Joe writes in, putting the business aspect aside, do you think war... Oh, this is very similar to what I just answered, but I appreciate the email. All right, this will be the last question. Zach writes in, with Paul Heyman disregarding the Logan Paul question, can we assume that his days are numbered within the group? Follow-up question, would you also consider going that route as a bit hasty? As we know, haste makes waste. I don't know what you're talking about, but I do know that, no, I think the idea is that Logan Paul is not going to be on every show, as I said earlier. And so they don't want to go full tilt and say, yes, he's a member of the Vision if he's not always going to be there. That is how I took it. I could be wrong, but that's how I took it. I think the idea of when Logan is back, he is with Heyman, he is with the Vision. I think that could still be good. I think that would be good for Logan Paul. I just think it's a matter of him not being there every single week. You want to email in, it's notsamwrestling@gmail.com. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast across all audio platforms. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/notsamwrestling. I'm working really hard. I got something big cooking for the end of John Cena's run on this podcast feed. So make sure you're subscribed. We'll get there. We got a month left in 2026. Before 2026. That's pretty wild. We're going to have a lot to talk about. Make sure you're subscribed. We'll talk soon.